Hey there, and welcome to this explainer. Listen, if you're tuning in today, there's a really good chance you're feeling it. You know what I mean, right? That deep, bone-wearing exhaustion that comes from the modern corporate grind. Believe me, I have absolutely been there. As a mentor, I see my junior colleagues hitting this exact same wall of burnout literally every single day. But while digging into these sources, I found some incredible ancient wisdom from all over the globe that completely challenged everything I thought I knew about what it means to work hard. We're always taught to view our careers like this endless ladder we just have to blindly climb, constantly fighting our way up. Well, today, we're going to look at how to step off that exhausting ladder and start viewing your work as a balanced, natural ecosystem that you simply participate in. Sound good? Let's dive right in. So, ask yourself this. What if you could achieve everything you want in your career simply by choosing to stop swimming against the current? I know, it sounds totally counterintuitive. We are so conditioned to believe that success requires constant, anxious toil. If you're not stressed, you're not working hard enough, right? But what if the secret to high-level performance is actually found in effortless action? Throughout this explainer, we're going to explore how replacing those rigid, forced schedules and constant status seeking with natural alignment can completely transform your professional life. Okay, let's start with section 1, leaving the anxious ladder and exploring the concrete jungle versus the forest. Take a look at this comparison. The contrast is pretty stark. Over on side A, you've got the concrete jungle. This is all about social optics and vanity metrics. Basically, it's when you're totally consumed by how others perceive your career progression. The sources clearly point out that constantly chasing the spotlight like this fragments your energy, divides your mind, and creates this incredibly heavy mental fog. It is pure anxious toil. But look over at side B, the forest. This is about internal values and essential work. When you strip away all those artificial pressures and just focus purely on the quality of your actual effort, you develop this amazing unified focus. You find an inner peace and a really steady self that can handle high-pressure tasks with a surprising amount of ease. And this actually brings us to a really fascinating ancient concept, tanha. It's a Buddhist concept that defines human suffering as being rooted in craving, attachment, or just always wanting the next thing. Think about how perfectly this describes the whole corporate ladder mentality. We're always craving the next promotion, the next award, or, honestly, even just a generic good job message on Slack from the boss. This constant craving keeps your mind constantly agitated, completely preventing you from ever settling into the present moment. Simplifying your professional life isn't just about organizing your desk. It's a practical tool to break this exhausting cycle of tanha. Moving right along to section 2, finding your natural river, where we'll talk about energy and flow. So the real key here is understanding a brilliant Taoist principle called Wu Wei. It translates to effortless action. Now, let me be clear, this absolutely does not mean laziness. What it means is swimming with the current of your professional life, rather than trying to force results on some completely arbitrary timeline. It's about learning to monitor the friction in your workday. Like, when you're tackling a complex problem, does it feel organic and aligned? Or does it require this excessive teeth-gritting forced struggle? Because if you are fighting heavy resistance all day, you are swimming against the current. Wu Wei teaches us to stop fighting and start aligning our daily work with our natural energy cycles. I absolutely love this mindset shift. Nature doesn't hurry, yet everything is accomplished. This quote from the Tao Te Ching perfectly echoes that Christian mystic philosophy about the lilies of the field. They neither toil nor spin, yet they grow beautifully. The core takeaway here is that consistent, aligned action will yield the results you want without the need for constant, anxious micromanagement. You literally don't have to force the river to flow. You just have to learn how to ride it. Let's make this super practical. We're going to try a step-by-step experiment inspired by Stoic poverty drills, where they would live on bare essentials just to realize that luxury is often just a heavy burden. We're going to do a professional poverty drill to help you find your Ziron, which just means your natural, unforced state. Step 1. For a few days, completely strip away all digital and social clutter. Just eliminate the visual noise. Step 2. Stop forcing a rigid, predetermined schedule wherever you possibly can. And step 3, just observe. Without all that artificial noise, pay attention to the specific times of day when complex problem solving actually feels organic and effortless for you. Those right there, those are your natural energy peaks. Which brings us to section 3, untangling roots from status, focusing on identity and detachment. To really decouple our self-worth from our career markers, we can look at the Hindu principle of aparigraha. Basically, this is the practice of non-possessiveness. But in our professional context, it means non-attachment to the outcomes of your actions. It means letting go of that desperate need for praise, promotions, or industry awards. The sources show us that the exact moment you decouple your self-worth from whether a specific project succeeds or fails, the daily friction of your career instantly drops. You literally stop being owned by your desire for status. Let me ask you a question. When you hit a massive roadblock at work, are you viewing that challenge as a deeply personal failure or just a natural seasonal cycle? Because if your identity is tangled up in social optics, every single setback is going to feel like a devastating blow to your personal worth. But if you practice detachment from the outcome, you can view challenges as just a natural winter in your professional ecosystem. Winter isn't a failure, it's just a season. This lets your focus return purely to maintaining the high quality of your daily effort, regardless of the immediate results.
All right, let's look at how this applies to teams in Section 4, Stewardship over Dominance, or the Ecosystem of Leadership.
If you look at side A, the dominance-based hierarchy, well, that's pretty much our modern default. It relies on extraction, forcing outcomes on rigid timelines, and this deep desire for mastery over a team. And honestly, it creates immense friction. But look at side B, humble stewardship. This approach is deeply rooted in indigenous and animist wisdom. It's all about reciprocity. Instead of dominating, a great leader is an integral participant whose main job is to facilitate the organic productivity cycles of their team. They don't impose rigid schedules. Instead, they protect the team's natural rhythm and energy. There's this incredible Taoist teaching about humility, not daring to be ahead of the world. For a leader, this is a real game changer. It means being strategic about how you use the spotlight. You avoid forcing yourself into the lead position simply to satisfy your ego or climb some social ladder. By practicing restraint, by not hoarding the credit or the status, you build incredible, genuine trust. You foster a culture of mutual respect, where your authority actually comes from quiet strength and stewardship, not from loud, anxious dominance. And finally, Section 5, Tending the Garden and Cultivating Professional Sparsity. Clear space, unified mind. I know it sounds super simple, but let me tell you, it is profoundly effective. The sources universally agree here. Physical and digital clutter act as a constant visual noise that causes low-grade sensory overload all day long. Think of it like clearing out the dead brush from a forest floor. When you regularly remove the excess from your workspace and your digital space, you immediately cut through that mental fog. It creates the actual silence required for true focus and awareness. So we put together this essential audit to help you put this into practice. It combines the Hindu concept of saucha, which means purity, with indigenous ideas of reciprocity. First, you practice physical sparsity by decluttering your workspaces. This directly reduces sensory overload. Second, audit those social obligations. Actually step back from the vanity metrics and those networking events that only exist for social optics. Get rid of the artificial pressure. And finally, foster ecological reciprocity. Basically, take only what you need from your organization. Don't hoard resources or titles. Doing this redirects all that fragmented energy back to your own true abundance and self-sufficiency. To sum this all up, here is a quick, actionable checklist of daily habits to help you replace social optics with internal value alignment. First, take only what you need and waste nothing. Second, prioritize the absolute quality of your effort today, right now, over any external praise you might get tomorrow. Third, use non-possessiveness to decouple your self-worth from specific project outcomes. Fourth, just completely ignore the social ladders and vanity metrics. And lastly, whether you're a junior employee or a senior executive, facilitate natural rhythms. Embrace these habits, and I promise you, you'll watch the daily friction of your career just melt away. I want to leave you with this one final provocative thought before we wrap up. Take a good look at your calendar for tomorrow. Just look at it. Are your daily tasks tied to true abundance, meaning inner peace, high-quality effort, and genuine connection? Or are you just exhausting yourself chasing social optics? You have the power to step off that ladder. You really do. You can trade in that anxious toil for the quiet strength of an effortless, beautifully balanced career. It's time to stop swimming against the current. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.